And we're live. Woo. I don't know why I do this. Just get a whim for a stream and you just go for it. Hello, 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 hello. I had a whim to stream again, as I do. For some reason, it seems to most commonly happen when I'm waiting for videos to export. Low key. So, let me just spread the news. Oh, jeez. I just put it in my Discord server and it said like, whoa, wait a second, you want to at over 200 people? Why do I have so many people in my stupid server? Oh my goodness. Hello, hello, hello people. Hello. I'm good. How are you, all you guys? I'm just doing a random story stream, I guess, because the last one was pretty fun, but I don't have a friend here today to help me keep up with people. I don't have Mitchie here to save my ass. Oh man. Now I need to join the said Discord server. It's quite a mess. It's quite a ride. It's a very big server. I don't know how it got so big. It's wild. It's wild. What even is this chat I'm looking at? Just waiting for people before I really get started. Make it fair, I guess. I don't know. Also getting my desktop set up so I can do stuff on the side. Oh, come on. Click that. There we go. Jeez. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, give it. How much longer do I want to give this before I actually like get into stuff? We'll give it till 5 minutes. So. Wasn't here for the last story stream. Nice to be here. Well, welcome to the place where I ramble about my own stories because I just want an excuse to talk about myself, I guess. Oh man, I mentioned it in the last one. I always feel awkward like talking about like my own stories and nonsense in other conversations just because it's like, oh well, it's like, why would you do that? You're just talking about yourself. Why not talk about anything else? So it's like, I thought, hey, why don't I like sometimes do story live streams where I can just talk and make it center around my own stories so I don't feel so bad. Because then it's like, well, see, now if you want to show up, it's totally optional. And it's not like, it doesn't make me feel, I don't know, it makes me feel significantly less weird. So, we love your stories, boo. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It makes me feel good that there are people who actually like my stories. It makes me feel happy. I don't know. I'm just having a fun time. That's how I do. And they're all slowly get better and whatever and nonsense and whatever. I guess a random conversation topic to do the 1 minute. I want to like do more game things because I figured out there was a game thing that was like a big kind of party game thing that I'm kind of curious about possibly doing with friends and fans. Might be kind of fun if I figure out how to make it work and nonsense. Games don't always stream very well on my laptop because I don't know. It's just it's a laptop. It's not made for like gaming, whatever. I don't know, but yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. That's just random thought to carry at the time. R/whoosh. What are we r/whooshing about? That's my question. I feel like doodling now. That's relatable, my dude. Oh dear. Okay, so now we got 5 minutes. There's a lot of people here. I wonder, okay, let's keep up with it. There's 83 people. How many people are we going to lose by the end of the stream? How many people are going to lose interest? Okay, so yeah, if you guys want to ask questions and nonsense, you feel free to ask away. It's just whatever about my own story is nonsense. I don't know. We're just having a fun time. And I have to do this myself now, and I actually have to pay attention to the chat, so yeah. So, do I like Invader Zim? I mean, not really. I was never really a big fan of it. I don't know. Well, I never watched it. I shouldn't say, like, I'm not a big fan. It's not like I didn't like it. I'm indifferent. I never really watched it that much. So, it's got cool art style, though, but yeah. We will lose negative 50 people by the end of the stream. Well, we've already lost 2, so you're already, you're kind of already losing that bet, I'm afraid. Oh, man. I'm surprised how slow the chat's going. Normally, by the time I get here, rapid amounts of messages are flowing in the chat. I don't know. This chat always seems to be very inconsistent. Sometimes it's like message after message after message, and then other times it's just dead silence. I don't know. It's fun. I will not lose the bet. Well, you're still losing. We've lost 2 more. 79. So, next Luniverse portraits? Probably not anytime soon. I want to redo all of them because I'm weird. Whoops. So, yeah. That's unfortunate. Guys, it's a character stream. It's about my stories. So, just FYI. Oh no, Mitchie. Don't die. Hi. I'm just here suffering. Just don't die, Mitchie. Don't do that. That's bad. Are you ever writing a story and just suddenly lose creativity and writing ability? That happens a lot, man. Why I suffer? Because I'm sitting here alone in a stream trying to keep up with the chat and not get distracted. And I'm waiting for my video to be okay to export because that's why I normally bullshit stream. Fun fact about me. Goodness. Will you ever draw more Eternity from Luniverse? Hopefully. I need to. I really do need to do that. In my opinion, who's my favorite story you've ever made? I'm assuming you mean what's my favorite story I ever made. I don't know. Because I like a lot of my stories for different reasons. So... Because I like Luniverse because I like having all the in-depthness and all this sort of stuff. I like Seven Sins of Baby because it's just a lot of fun for me. There's a lot of lack of rules for Seven Sins and a Baby that I just have fun with. And then I have a lot of other stories that I really like. So, Oh goodness, I can never keep up with the chat. I feel so bad. Favorite character from Luniverse? Probably Vanessa, but for reasons I can't explain. But I like Vanessa a lot, personally. Just writing her and having her exist. A good way to do that, everyone at Zodiac and have it start with the word question so it'll be easier to keep up with them. That's actually a very smart idea. Thanks, Mitchie. You're even a good mod when you're not here. Oh, man. What is Luniverse? That's one of my own personal stories. It's a very chaotic story. It's a fun time. I don't know. Question. Hi, Zodiac. What stuff can we look forward to in Seven Sins and a Baby? I mean, depends on what's what you would look forward to, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff is going to happen. I mean, honestly, There's a lot of stuff that has been in development, like that's gone from like when I first started it to now. So there's a lot of stuff to look forward to, I guess. I did recently finish lining and coloring pages 5 through 8. So that's I'm slowly getting closer. I'll get there eventually. Question: how did you get into art, Zodiac? I mean, they're not really a story question, but just I've always liked drawing. That's just, I don't know, always liked drawing. Then one time in middle school, I got really inspired to get really into it. So, you know. Question: how many OCs do you have, and what do you do if you have too many? Well, I don't believe you can have too many OCs. I think you can only, it just really depends on context, but I don't think you can generally have too many OCs, to be honest. I think the whole idea of like, is it good to have too many characters, whatever? Like, I think if you personally don't think you should focus more on like specific characters, and that's one thing, but you shouldn't really impose it on other people. But I don't think you can have too many characters. That's just how I generally believe. And I have a lot of OCs, probably over 200, maybe 300, possibly. I have a lot. That's including like side characters and stuff, but you know. Yeah, so I just want to warn you guys, I'm probably going to skip things that like aren't story related, only because like, you know, this is a story stream technically, so, you know, sorry if I skip your question, but I don't really want to, I'm trying to it's a story talk, I guess, so it's my excuse to be egotistical stream, guys. Sorry, but yeah, so just warning. Question: how do you think your universe characters would work in another genre, like an intense drama story or purely comedic story? Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, it's a very like comedic story with a lot of dramatic elements. I don't know, it's very half and half. Just because I can't write a totally intense drama story. I just can't, because I just lose interest in stuff like that very fast. I don't know. That's a very broad question. I'd have to think about that. What should I read from you first, now that I'm hearing you have stories? Well, technically, most of my stories aren't written and posted online. The only one that kind of is 7 Sins and a Baby, which is a comic, which only it's really like, I call it Chapter 0. Only part of it's out, but hopefully, if I can keep working on it and keep up with it, I'll get Chapter 1 out sometime soonish and not like in under a year. But yeah, so that's the only one that's actually a story online. How many story ideas have you had fizzle out from lack of motivation? I mean, a lot. It happens when you make stories. It's just kind of the art of story making. Sometimes you just have ideas, and a lot of my ideas, even whenever they are like, I'm not working on them right now, I still have them in the back of my mind. I have very, very few stories that are actually like, I've totally given up on them, just because, you know, I feel like if I have an idea, I can make it better, you know, and whatever. It's one of those things. It's just the art of story writing. What advice would you give to a person who's starting a comic, especially when they're working on a steampunk horror comic? Well, genre doesn't really change much when it comes to just starting a comic in general. If you mean like posting it, I would give you the advice of like, first of all, don't start posting it till you have like a few pages in, at least, if not like a whole chapter done, because believe me, it makes it a lot less stressful to work on pages when you don't have to work on them as you go. And also, I would give the advice of like, if you wouldn't be upset with the comic not being a masterpiece, just go for it. Like, don't think too much about it. Just have fun with it, you know? I guess that's my advice for starting a comic. Oh dear. Okay, I'm going to go back down to the bottom. Sorry if I miss anyone. Favorite OC couple? Oof, that's a good one. Oh God, out of all of my characters. I guess I don't have many in terms of... I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know, like, out of my own characters, I guess Vanessa and Victoria, I guess, would be one of them. Because I love them. I love my babies. Yeah. Probably, I guess. That's a hard one, though. Question in Luniverse. Will Solar ever be defeated? I don't know. That's a good question. Who's your least favorite OC and why? Out of all of my characters, I can't choose that. Same thing with like the who's my favorite character, because out of all of my characters, I can't really choose that. It's a hard question. Question, how much character development is too much character development? Well, I mean, when it comes to your main characters, it's never too much, but like that would depend very much on context, like what kind of story you're going for and what kind of like, you know, what role they play. Like honestly, that depends on context. And really, again, at the end of the day, a lot of character development is never too much. And like honestly, that's just kind of like it just depends on what you show and like, you know, that kind of thing. Question, what do you think would happen if the main characters from Luniverse and Seven Cents and a Baby switch places? That's a very complicated question. I don't know if I could answer that in one stream. That'd be fun though. How do you come up with story titles? Well, a lot of them, some of them just kind of come from a place like, I know that I can name, like Luniverse came from literally just needing a placeholder title to refer to the story as. And then I can't bring myself to change it. So you know what, like Luniverse, there we go. That's what it's going to be called. Meanwhile, there's other stories like Seven Cents and a Baby. Literally that story spawned because I thought of a funny title. So that one, the title came first. So I mean, titles come from a lot of different places. It just depends. And if you're looking for a title, it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. What's another example? I have a story called Colorful, and that title was kind of bullshitted out, but I mean, the whole reason why is because the main like all of the characters are themed off of color technically, but the title itself doesn't really mean much, you know, so it depends what other stories I have. I have one called Naturia, which that title just kind of came from an idea of like that just sounded like a whimsical title that fit the world, you know, that sort of thing. So yeah, it just depends. Titles come from a lot of places. How much has changed in Luniverse since its conception? What changed? Oh, a lot. When a Luniverse was originally made, it was like a bullshit excuse for me to like throw a bunch of adoptables I had together in one story. So it really wasn't well thought out, and it was very like generic anime-y. Since then, I've actually had to like, what's changed is it actually has a story, and things have actually started to make some kind of logical sense in a realm of reality. So yeah. Question, who's your newest character? Oh God. Who is my newest character? Oh shit. I don't know. Who's my newest character? I mean, I recently had to make a character for like a roleplay thing. It's just kind of a one-off character, but I guess? I don't know. Jeez. Never to think about that. Do I have a least favorite OC? Not out of all of my stories, I couldn't pick one. It's just too broad. Do you have any advice on how to keep dialogue going with multiple characters? How do you know if one person isn't contributing enough or if too much isn't to the conversation? Oh God, that's a good question. I don't know. God, that's a good question. That depends on a lot of different factors, I would say. Sometimes, like, you just have to evaluate, I guess, I don't know if I can give one answer to that. I'm sorry, Desaurus. That's a really good question, though. I don't know if I can answer it in the stream, but, like, that's... I know there's a way to answer your question, but that might have to, like, depend on certain things and all that kind of thing, so, you know. Question, favorite story. Mine is Seven Cents and a Baby. I think I answered this earlier. I like all of my stories for different reasons. Like, I like Seven Cents and a Baby because it's I like how you wrote that with the 7. That's cute. But like, because I like it because it's very fun and it's very like, it's just, I love it, and like all of the when the main characters just all of they are is just butting heads, and it's just fun. But and then I like Luniverse because it's my more thought out story. It's just I like a lot of my stories for different reasons. I guess I would say if I had to pick, Luniverse and Seven Sins and a Baby are currently my favorites. Question: what's going on with Naturia? It's just I'm not working on it right now. Honestly, I don't feel like right now I have the skill set to actually like work on it like how I want to. Because like honestly, I always thought I could make a really good animated series. So honestly, I'm waiting for the day that I could possibly do that because. Or also could make a really good video game too, to be honest. But yeah, I just kind of like, I don't feel like I need to work so much on it, and it's just, you know, like, it's a lot of things. I don't know, but yeah. How do you find motivation to continue a story once you start one? Do you ever get bored with what you're doing at times? Yes, all of the time. It's very easy for me. It's very common for you to just kind of get bored of something and want to move on to a different project. And that's totally normal, and it's not a bad thing necessarily. If you want to move on to a different project, that's okay. Now, obviously, it's different if you're actually making something. Obviously, if you're make something and publicizing it, don't get bored halfway through and just stop doing it. You know, that's a little bit different. But don't ever pressure yourself to work on a story because you just think you have to, you know, it's don't stress. It happens all the time. I'm a swinger. I swing back and forth between my motivation with stories, you know? Oh man, so many questions. Do you typically design a character first or write the character story first? I do both. It depends. Sometimes characters are written first and then sometimes they're designed first, and it really depends. I guess most of the time it's a concept first and then the design, and then I get more in depth with it, but it just depends. Question: how did or do you plan to out the story / pages of Seven Sins of a Baby? And do you thumbnail comic pages first, or do you just dive right into drawing the whole thing? Well, okay, here's the thing. I have to give a disclaimer every time I talk about this kind of thing, because my system for Seven Sins of a Baby isn't a good, like, it's not, if you want to make a really serious comic that you want to be popular and you want to be good, don't necessarily do what I do. You should plan a lot more, because how I usually do Seven Sins of a Baby is I just kind of have a general idea where I'm going, and I'm just kind of drawing as I go and figuring it out, and just having fun with it. And then the dialogue, I'll write it out first, so I try not to spell anything wrong, although that doesn't always work. But I really do dive right in and draw things for it when it comes to pages. But I have to say that because if you guys want to write a legitimate comic, plan it first, do thumbnails and things like that. Because Seven Sins of a Baby is never meant to be a serious, like, earth-shattering, award-winning comic. It's just me having fun, so, you know. What kind of things do you take inspiration from, like shows, other comics, etc.? I mean, I take it from a lot of places. I don't know if I can, I don't know if I can really name one place, or like I take it from a lot of different places where I get my inspiration from and that kind of thing. So question: hottest OC in your opinion? Oh god, I'm not someone who can answer that question. I can't pick between my babies. Oh man. Question: what god tiers do you think your Seven Sins in a Baby characters would be? That's a really good question. I'd have to sit and think about that one. Oh no. I could think of so many good ones right now, though, too. Shit. I'm gonna have to actually think about that and write that down. That'd be cool. There'd be some good ones. Although, at the same time, some of them would probably be spoilery as to, like, why I make certain decisions because of some of the things. But, yeah. Can I call you Dad? Please don't. I'd prefer not. Questions: would it ever be possible for characters from one story to make characters from another story, possibly Luniverse and Seven Sins of a Baby? I will say this. Technically, I can logically cross over Luniverse with any story I want to and have it technically work in a realm of canon, only because in Luniverse, that's just a totally possible thing, and that's basically what it is to begin with. Technically, Luniverse is like anything can cross over into Luniverse because of just how it's set up with the whole alternate thing, because there's a possibility for everything. You know, just with everything that's possible, different timelines, different worlds, magic, all this kind of stuff. So technically, Luniverse is canonically, what would be the word? Canonically built to be an ultimate crossover, I guess. So, how do you feel about scripting out a comic before drawing it out? That's actually like perfectly viable, and that's probably a better way to do comics. So, yeah. Question, do you struggle with originality? For example, I start a story and when going back over it has the exact same premise as another story or something I just read. I mean, that happens all the time. That's literally, you guys have no idea how many things get inspiration from other things. Originality barely exists nowadays. That's just the cruel reality of making stories and stuff. It's because kind of a lot of things have been thought of, and like there's a thing, like 7 pillars of story writing or whatever. There's like 7 plots or something like that every story can fall under. You know, so if your story is very, very similar to something else, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, obviously, if like everything's the same down to a T, that's a different story. But like, if you don't always have to be worried about things being similar. In fact, in reality, I have some stories of my own that you can see very, very reoccurring themes, because that's just how I am with my stories, you know? So don't be afraid if your story is similar to other things. I mean, okay, how do I say this? I have a character, I'll say, Lust's story in Seven Sins and a Baby is very, very, very similar to a character from a story I have never really been into without me realizing it. I can't go into detail about it, but it's hilarious. And so, you know, it's that kind of thing happens all of the time, trust me. Best/worst person to give a death note? I don't really know. That's, again, broad question. Got any tips for someone wanting to make a story? That's a very broad question. I mean, that depends on a lot of things. I can't answer that. That's a bit too vague. Any tips for world building? I feel so bad, but that's, again, a very broad question that's really hard for me to just answer. You know, so, yeah. How did Chrome and Virus go from anime foxes to anime bunnies? Redesigning and having fun. I don't know. Because someone else, well, I know how. Someone else had the little idea of giving them bunny tails, and I thought it was adorable, so I rolled with it because I really love their designs. So, Wallace and T, they're awesome. Go check them out. Question, if Seven Sins and a Baby was a live-action movie, which actors would you want as the main cast? God, I can't even see Seven Sins and a Baby being a live-action movie unless it was, like, really, really cheesy. Just because of, like, how the characters look and everything. I mean, there's elements in there that could be a totally fine live-action movie, but the main characters would just be really cheesy as a live-action movie. And I also don't know actors very well, too, so that's also a problem. Do you have any characters who used to be fan characters that you've converted to original characters? I don't think I do, really. I don't think I have any characters like that. I mean, I used to have a character that I would insert into a lot of different stories. So I guess she kind of counts, but she's totally different now, so I don't think it's really the same thing. I don't know. And suddenly the questions stopped. Oh, he already knows I cosplay Envy in a heartbeat. Well, that's nice. What are we talking about? My own stories and trash? Which character have you had the longest time / changed the most from the original concept? That would definitely be my character, Comet/Star, which isn't posted yet. Oh, I need to actually, finish that. Shoot, I totally forgot about that. Oh, God. Dang. Question, if you were to become an animator with the chance to create your own show, what stories would you use? Now, that's a weird question because that depends on the context. Because if we were talking about me making a show with like an actual network or something, I wouldn't actually give any of my main stories that you guys would know about to any of the, like, to a network, because I refuse to hand over my babies to a network to have them changed for PR or whatever, you know, because I don't want to go on a whole tangent about that. But like, now obviously if I was doing it by myself with like a team maybe that I assemble on my own, that would be different. I would do all of my stories like that. But if it was like with a network, I would come up with a different story. I wouldn't use any of my stories for that kind of thing because I don't want them to be, I don't want to get into that. It's just, yeah. Question, if you were to become an animator, or no, that I just read that. Well, I got confused. If 7 sins and a baby was suddenly stripped of their status as sins and replaced in as the 7 virtues while keeping their personalities, how would they react? I don't know if I can answer that question, really. Question, can sins die a second time? Yes, actually. But we're not going to talk about that too much. I don't know. What noises do I make sometimes when I'm alone? Jeez. What do you usually do when you have writing block? I just figure out other things I can do, and I try to work through it, and just a lot of different stuff. I don't know. It depends. I guess it depends on a lot of different things. And also, I usually get more art block than I do writing block. I just kind of, with writing, that's a totally different mess. Have you ever made a violent or horror character? I feel like I have, but I'm not exactly, I can't think of them. I feel like I have, but maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, I've technically made a horror story character. I was going to write a story for it, but I don't know if that's going to actually be a thing now, so. Question, if you could enter one of the worlds you've created and you have to then stay there for all time, what world would you pick? Either 7 sins and a baby, and that's only if I could technically be a mage in that world, because that would be fun. Or Luniverse, just because it's crazy, but I don't really know. I feel like I'd die in any story I insert myself into. Question, sexist OCs? I'm not sure what the question is there. I don't know what your context is. If you were locked in a room with one of your characters, which one would it be and why? I mean, I have so many characters I'd want to actually like talk to in real life. That's hard to choose. Oh goodness. Who is Le Rudest Baby? I have a lot of rude characters. I mean, Chrome's pretty dang rude. Envy's pretty crass and rude. So is Wrath. Sloth's really rude. I don't know. I have a lot of rude characters. Oh, goodness, so many questions. Who is the most fun character to draw and or you draw the most? Oh, goodness. I love drawing Lust a lot. I also love drawing my character Kai a lot. So yeah, that's probably the two I can think of off the top of my head. Yeah. Why do I feel like Lust is the most heart-shattering, feel-jabbing backstory ever? It would be emotionally hurt me, but it would be worth it for the character development. How much do I want to talk about right now? Let's see. I don't know if his is the most emotionally shattering, because his is kind of just tragic in a lot of ways. I don't know if his the most deep emotionally. God, if I was to pick one that was the most, like, feel jabby, I guess, if we're going with the words here, probably, and of course, I'm just going with 7 Sins and a Baby here. Out of 7 Sins and a Baby, that's a different story, but, like, just out of the sins, that's probably Greed. Can't say why, but he probably has the most emotional backstory. That's all I'm gonna say. But Lust is also really tragic and dramatic and very ironic too. So why aren't you doing art fight this year, my guy? I got some of your baby's bookmark. Oh, well, that's sweet. I don't know if I'm gonna join in late or not, but this thing with me and flipping art fight is like I don't know why it's so tedious for me to like set up that like all the character things and the references and the places and stuff like that. That's always what like holds me back from doing it. And I don't know why. And then I also feel bad because I can't really participate with it that much, you know. So I don't know if I'll do it. I might join late, maybe. I don't know. But I also feel bad because I don't feel like this year I'm going to participate that much. And I don't really want to like let people like draw my characters if I can't really draw anybody else's back, you know. So yeah. Question: have you ever had a great idea but don't know how to actually turn it into a story? Tips for fixing that, if so? I mean, just experiment and play around with it, really. I guess that's just kind of, that's all I could really say. I don't really know. I do know where you're coming from, though, but my advice would just be to kind of play around with it and see what you can come up with, I guess. How old is Infinity, or has she been around before / since the beginning of time? She's been around since space existed, so she's technically been around since infinity. Whoa! Just like her brother's been around for all eternity. Ha! I'm so funny. I don't even know. All right, give me a second. I gotta tippy tap something. Let's see. Okay. Just don't mind me. I'm distracted off screen. I'm typing something out real quick. So my bad. Just give me a second. This is why I love Zodiac. Well, thanks, I guess. All right, there we go. Okay, we're back to the fun times. Yay. Question: if you could change something about an OC, who would you and what would you change? I mean, I don't want to say that's a weird question, but I mean, if I wanted to change something, I probably already would have done it now. I mean, unless you're meaning like from a more like an outside party sense, like, you know, like who would you change if you could change them as a person, like in a realistic setting? But I don't know. So I don't really know. Question: if your 7 cents and a baby characters were trolls, what blood colors would they be? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I probably would go with just the kind of colors they're already themed off of right now anyway. Just because I'm like that. But also, to be honest though, that would fit a lot of them. I think the only one that probably wouldn't fit for them, like story-wise, would be Gluttony, which is actually kind of funny now that I think about it. Like, a lot of their colors actually fit the Homestuck caste system. How they are with their backstories and nonsense. But I mean, kind of, at least. Not all of them, but yeah. I think the only one that actually like drastically wouldn't fit them would be Gluttony's, but yeah. I probably would just be that kind of unoriginal and just make it whatever their color is already now. Because that's how I roll. Wrath is car cat thoughts. Don't mind me, I'm just tippy tapping around. This is what I mean. There's like random parts where it's super like everything's happening, and then there's other parts where nothing's happening. Question, your average reply speed while roleplaying? I mean, that depends, because like on Discord I've been pretty quick with it, but then again I've only really been roleplaying with Mitchie on Discord. On DeviantArt though, I'm really slow. And I need to be better about it, but I'm really slow. Question, if the seven sins and a baby were gems, what gems would they be? I mean, that's something of fun to think about, but I don't know if I can really think about it right now. Just because there's a lot to think about. I don't know. Will your gems ever come back? We miss them. Well, I mean, especially now, I'd have to actually rework a ton of my characters if I actually brought them back. But, I mean, I know, I know you miss them, guys, but I'm not really, I've lost a lot of interest in my gem characters, honestly. I'm just focusing on a lot of other things now, and I'm sorry if that upsets people, but that's just kind of, it's just really how it is right for me right now, so. Have you ever made any homesick stories based off the game Spurb and all that jazz? Yes, I have with some friends, but it's kind of dead now because of drama that happened. But we're not gonna talk about that. Question, can gluttony cook? Probably not, actually, you know? Just because of her back. I can't explain why, because I mean, technically, well, I mean, I guess I can. She's technically came from a family where she would have never had to cook, like, at all. She'd have other people do it for her, so, you know, she'd have no idea how to cook. Out of all the sins, it's envy that does the cooking. Woo. So, you know. Oh, she was rich. Yes, she was. Her family was, at least. That's all I'll say. What real damage have the sins done to each other? I mean, I'm not sure. I don't entirely understand the question. I might just be stupid, but... Do you assign theme songs to your characters? Not really. I'm very bad at picking out theme songs. I mean, after I have a character, I'll think of I'll listen to music and think of a billion songs that fit them. But overall, though, I can't really, I don't really generally think of theme songs very often and stuff like that for my characters. Hey, so do you know any good places to meet people to RP online, like group chats or Discords? I mean, not really. I only know of my own Discord, but that's not really a roleplay one. It's just more of a general server, I guess. Who cooks in the Luna household? Both Jackson and then also Felicity. And they fight over it. Question, how was my day? It was fine. It's been alright. Technically, it's still early in the day for me. Because I wake up late. Every day. Because I'm weird. How do I come up with such interesting character designs? What do you focus on for them? I mean, a lot of the time I just focus on like how I imagine them, I guess, and like what works for whatever story they have. I mean, I don't know. It's weird because I don't really have like any set like strategy I use for my like stories and stuff, like for my character designs, because a lot of it kind of just like it's depends, or it's it depends on like what I'm going for, what I need, and whatever. I like to think Jackson would like to watch Power Rangers when he was a kid. He probably would love watching Power Rangers while he was a kid. That's probably accurate. Question: if the main 10 in the universe were sins, what sins would they be? I don't know, especially because a lot of them, I can't see them having, they don't really have any specific, like, out of 7 deadly sins that I know of course, but, like, some of them I do, and then some of them I don't, and then some of them are probably a lot more complicated to get into, so I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess the only one I would know off the top of my head is like Chrome would be Envy, or be an Envy, because that's, yeah. What was your first story and what is the current status of it? My first story that I ever made that was a proper story in my memory, well, actually, I guess the first story I really made was I made these stupid comics where it was just literally people I knew in real life, and we all had animal ears and tails, and it was called Animal People, and it was like supposed to be a funny comic, and it's so, it was all stick figures. It's so cringy, but I still have it. It's still there, but yeah, and that's just not a story anymore. It doesn't exist. Take a shot every time Zodiac says "get into" in a stream. Question: will Zodiac... Why did I say Zodiac? What the hell is... Oh my god. Will Jackson ever find love? I mean, I don't know. Currently in Looniverse, that's not really any storyline for him to do that. But also because I don't really think he needs it, necessarily. Like, normally with a lot of my stories, usually with my stories, when it comes to, like, romance and junk, it's usually just kind of a it happens if it happens sort of thing. Like, you know, if 2 characters are compatible and they get together, there we go. But the only time it's really an exception is if a character, like their story, like their development is kind of vital for them to have them finding someone to love or something like that, you know? That's usually the only times I include any kind of love story with them, you know, in a story where it doesn't really matter. So, yeah. How are we doing on the bet? You're still losing on the bet. Still, it's 79 now. Everyone would be drunk and asking weird as fuck questions if we did that. Sounds about right. You just poking around on things. Poking around. Waiting for questions. Favorite type of question? That's a good question. I don't know, really. I don't know. I don't think I have a specific question type that I particularly like more than others. Take a shot of water. It's good for you folks. God, I need to, like, at some point, I'm waiting to have a chance to do a Patreon stream. I wanted to do one for a little while with some of my lovely patrons and stuff. But I need to figure out when I'm going to do that. Which of my characters is the most smoochable? I I don't know. That's subjective. I mean, just me personally, I don't, how do you kiss your kids? I don't know. Or like smoot, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I don't know. That's probably subjective. Mega time. I don't know what I'm saying. Out of all of your characters, who are the most likely to cry at the end of movies? Who are the most emotional? See, with questions like this, when you ask just broadly over all of my characters, I never really know, because a lot of my characters would do that. So it's really hard to pick over just all of my characters in general. Which, I mean, I know people generally are just referring to Seven Sins and a Baby in Looniverse, but still, that's still a lot of characters. Do you ever plan on printing out copies of your comic or selling them? Of Seven Sins and a Baby? Probably not. Not without going back and like fixing everything, but like probably not Seven Sins and a Baby at all. Just because, you know. How much do the Sins dislike each other? Lots. Out of all the stories, which is the most developed? That would probably be either Looniverse or Colorful. Or possibly one of the stories I have called Firebird that I need to work on again. So yeah. Yo, not really relevant, but what age group do you think watches your videos, like children, teens? I think from what I've seen, it's a lot of teens, tweens, and young adults, I guess. But, I mean, I don't really know. I think that's the demographic that art videos and nonsense attract. Zodiac question, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't all the Seven Sins die by their sin? If that's correct, less had happy times with the other gender to die? I mean, yes, they all die by their sin, but the specifics of that I can't really go into. And it's a lot broader than you think. Yeah, make sure if you want to ask a question, you do the @Zodiac thing so it'll help me see it. Goodness. / I don't know. Can the Sins physically have babies? The Sins, as they are, cannot have babies, actually. They all just, they can't. That's the whole moral of the story. They can't have the babies. With anyone. Are we allowed to make fusions of your OCs for you? I'm just wondering because I want to do a fusion. I mean, you can. Go ahead. It's fine. Question, in your opinion, what character from Seven Sins and Looniverse has the hardest design to draw? Shit. I mean, now I've redesigned all my Looniverse characters, so I'm not really sure. I don't really know, honestly. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm sure there's someone out there. I can't think of it off the top of my head. If you could redesign any of the Seven Sins designs and outfits, who would you remake? Well, see, I feel like I would have already if I wanted to, I guess. I mean, I don't know. If I had to choose, I guess it would be Gluttony, and that would only be because I wish I included more orange in her thing, but I mean, her design's also fine, so I don't know. Still follow Steven Universe? Yes, I do. I'm just really not publicly, super fan about it very much anymore, so there you go. Do many of your characters have canon birthdays? Not many. Not many, especially just because it's hard to keep up with that, and it feels kind of eh. It doesn't feel... If it's not really important, you know. Can you give me a basic idea of what the 7 Deadly Sins in a Baby comic thing is? I haven't really been on anything but YouTube, lol. It's basically 7 idiots, 7 assholes, find a baby in the woods, and they adopt it. That's the basic premise of the story. So yeah, you can read it on DeviantArt or Tapas. You don't need an account for either to read it, I don't think, but yeah. If you were forced to choose between amazing at writing but bad at art forever, or be amazing at art but bad at writing forever, which would you choose? Oh dear. Oh dear. I mean, see, that's a really bad, because do you mean writing just like physically writing a story? Or like writing as in making a story in general? Because if that was the case, I think I'd rather be able to make my stories. Because I hold my characters so dear, and I'd figure out a thing around the art. But if you're just talking about like actually just typing out a story and being bad at that, then I'd probably pick art, because at least then I could get people to help me actually write things. But you know, can you imagine the Seven Sins as Power Rangers? They'd be terrible Power Rangers. I too adopt random babies in the woods. What sin was the most reluctant to adopt Angel? Well, y'all are gonna find out whenever I finally finish the next fucking chapter, but probably pride, I think, by the end of it. This isn't really spoilery. Technically, in the next chapter, it's a lot of envy, pride, and wrath versus lust, greed, and gluttony over whether or not we adopt this child we found in the woods. So, yeah. Which sin would become the most attached to Le Bab? Well, I mean, like I said, gluttony was like love at first sight, so there's that. They all get really attached to Angel. That's kind of a big part of the story, so, hey. Lunaverse is my verse. Oh my goodness, that's funny. How do I world build correctly? Well, there's not necessarily a right way to world build, so I don't know, man. What sensible part of the Seven Deadly Sins thought that adopting a baby was a good idea? The fact that greed feels a need to keep everything he finds, and he thought it was adorable. Gluttony falling in love with it like it's a stray puppy, and less just being like, well, this looks like it could be fun. So, yeah, that's... And then they find out that they can't... Yeah, anyway. But, and what is Sloth doing during this argument? Let me guess. Sleeping. It's not a spoiler, you'd be correct. Does Angel have bio parents? Well, she can't exactly exist if she didn't. Wink wonk. Not gonna get into the details. What did Sloth mean when he said it's about time at the end of the last page? I mean, technically that was me being silly and breaking the fourth wall. Because, yeah, that's... Sloth's thing, if you haven't read his bio, there's a thing in there. He occasionally will break the fourth wall because he's too lazy to acknowledge it. It's just a little joke, because Seven Sins and a Baby is the kind of comic that'll break the fourth wall occasionally. How did you come up with Seven Sins and a Baby? I thought of a funny title that was Seven Sins and a Baby, and I'm like, I want to make something off of this. There we go. Are any of the sins actually friendly towards each other? I mean, Gluttony is till she gets mad. Yeah. That's about it. Question. Would Gluttony be the type of person to say, I would just eat you up to Angel? She probably will at some point, whenever it actually becomes relevant. I don't know, but that'll probably be a funny line in there somewhere. Just cause I have to go for all the obvious jokes. Do you have any characters who are currently in committed relationships? I mean, yes. There's characters that get into committed relationships, like in Lunaverse, there's the poly relationship. Sure, there's others I can't think of right now. Somewhere. How old are the sins? Well, I wrote it in their bio. In all their bios, they have it. They're all varying amounts of ages, and they're also physically they're different ages than what they are chronologically. So, you know, Like, there's kind of a wide range. Sloth is 12. Well, physically, he's 15, actually. But although chronologically and mentally, he's 28. So that's a fun thing. Will the Sin children find love? Maybe. That could possibly be a part of one of their stories because it's for character development purposes. But yeah. Did Gluttony die because she ate a raw chicken? I mean, no, but I'm not going to get into detail about how they died because a lot of it's spoilery words coming out of my mouth. Oh, goodness. I can see Greed stealing baby toys for Angel, and it's like a mother dragon with a hoard of toys for a baby. That's very accurate. Angel actually will, like, it won't come down like up till later, but like she will eventually have this little stuffed animal that's just a reoccurring, like, just it's a thing and it exists and it's great. When I was younger, I actually had a story where the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse adopt a child, actually made her since the baby before it existed. Well, I mean, you can't be a ripoff if you did it first. I mean, technically, I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. 7 Sins and a Baby, in a sense, is a ripoff of a different story concept I had. Like, low-key. Just the context is very different. It's really funny. I've always thought you could make a good Amethyst impression because I hear it in your voice a lot. Could you try it, Zodiac? I mean, I don't know if I want to try it right now, but I've been told multiple times I sound exactly like Smoky Quartz. So, there we go. Mate, you stream more than when I go on my phone, which is a lot. Well, like streaming, it's fun. Streams are fun and they're chill and they're just a good time. They're a good way to waste time. Where did this toy come from? Everyone looks at Greed. That's about right. I mean, let's be real. They'd have to steal most of her toys if they wanted to get one for her. But, you know. Sorry, I'm typing something. Which of the sons would be most likely to run for president? Oh, dear. I almost want to say Sloth just because I think that's hilarious. Because I feel like Sloth's logic will be like, well, if any idiot can run for president, I'm going to do it. I mean, they don't have presidents in the 7 Sins and the Baby world, at least where they live, but I almost want to just say that because I think it'd be hilarious. Will Pride help Angel with her makeup when she's older since she got that... since that boyo got skill. I've always made that's technically a thing, just a cute little thing. Angel doesn't really wear makeup. Her as a character, like as an adult, just kind of doesn't care. But I've always made the joke that when she gets older, she's like, I want face markings like my parents, and so he does it for her just so she's like can run a bead like, look at me, I'm the 8th sin. So yeah, just cute nonsense. Oh no, I'm yawning. Oh god. Alright, can I export this video now, please? No? It's taking so long. I need to go back and like organize some stuff. I'm not gonna do it now because I'm lazy, but oh, why not keep yawning? Oh, jeez. This is the 8th sin, cuteness. Do you listen to music when you do art? If so, what genre? I watch YouTube videos, or I listen to YouTube videos when I do art. I listen to that drama. Or sometimes other speed paints, but you know. Gluttony tastes Angel's baby food and just goes, this is awful, and starts making baby food from scratch because her babe deserves the best. I mean, that's cute, but that's... Gluttony thinks everything tastes good. So, like, it's probably not what would actually happen. What sin is the shotgun dad who says stuff like, you can date when you're married? That is honestly... Well, honestly, that's like all of them. To be honest, but that's also like extremely wrath and that's extremely lust too. It's really funny. But yeah. What time is it here? It's 1:30 p.m. Oh no, I'm doing it again. It'll never stop. Oh no. Sorry if I keep like getting distracted. I keep looking off. I'm just like tip-tapping around looking at art and shit. So. When you can play Sims 4 against, just wondering. Hopefully, someday. Hopefully. I need to, that's for sure. I might do a chill stream or something later today, maybe. Just because I like streaming. And since I did this one solo. Yeah, well, it's quiet because I'm not getting any questions. I got nothing to talk about. Messiest / cleanest Luna household member? Oh dear. I mean, Jackson's a mess. He's probably the messiest in, like, out of everybody. As for the cleanest, probably Felicity. Probably. Come on, video, stop load so I can export this. It's what I've been waiting on. I'm just browsing random art and nonsense. How would Sloth react to a 5-hour energy drink? It probably wouldn't work on him. That or he'd just be sassy for longer. How many reality gods are there and what do they do / control. Well, there were a lot of reality gods, like no set number, just a lot of them, because they control like a lot. Yeah, and then all of them except for 3 are dead. So there we go. The 3 that are alive are Eternity, Infinity, and Solar, who control time, who originally at least controlled time, space, and stars, respectively. My favorite story in a sentence? Are we talking about like my favorite story out of like everything, or just out of my own stories, or I don't know. Which of any of your characters would you get along best with? I'm not really sure, to be honest, because I don't know how they'd react to me, especially because I'm boring. So, what other stories do you have besides your main 2? Oh boy. Okay, alright, you know what? Let's see how many I can name just off the top of my head. I have Colorful, I have Naturia, I have The Heavens Proxies, which is my oldest story that's been reworked many a time. I have this story called Firebird, which probably needs a new name. I have a story called Welcome to Chaos, which probably also needs a new name. I have one called The Siren. I have one called 36. I have more than that. I know I do. Let me think. Monsterverse. I have that technically. I just need to work on it. Yeah, I have a lot of stories. That's like 9. I think I have a few more than that, but yeah. If the Sins were in high school, what cliques would they fit into? Like nerds, jocks, etc. Oh boy, I'm not really sure. Some of them probably wouldn't really fit into anywhere, to be honest. Let me think. Les would probably be a popular kid, I mean, honestly. Sloth would just exist. Like, he probably wouldn't show up for school most days. Art-related question, do you do collabs? Is there no time for that? I do collabs. A lot of them are whims, though. Like, I've collaborated a lot with Twisted Disaster, and that's just a lot of, because, like, it's on a whim. Like, we'll sketch something and the other person decides to color it and whatever. We're gonna post something for that soon. Not on YouTube, but on our DeviantArt arts, that we did recently. Because we both wanted to, like, really draw something. So we're like, let's just collaborate on it. So, yeah, but I do collabs. Most of the time they're on a whim, though. What are the Sins' favorite foods? I mean, see, that's the kind of thing I don't think about much. Or I can't think about off the top of my head. You almost have 60,000. You can't be that boring. I know. I don't know how that happened. Question, does Seven Sins of the Baby have an antagonist? It has a few, but they haven't shown up yet. I mean, it has, like, the first couple of antagonists, although I should mention, a lot of the antagonists in Seven Sins of the Baby go off the very literal definition of they are the characters that go against the main characters. I emphasize that. There's not a lot of main antagonists that are actually evil. So that's a fun thing of Seven Sins of the Baby for you. But yes, it's got plenty. And a lot of them, I will say, a lot of them do kind of like later become more friends than foes and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. Why doesn't Solar just make the sun explode? Is his alter ego a joke for Sunny D? The second one, no, it's not. It's just Sunny's just because his thing is suns and stars and stuff. And he doesn't make the sun explode because otherwise Infinity would leave. So it kind of needs to stay there, so you know. Also, because what's the fun of that? To destroy it before he has a chance. Plus, it's a lot of different things. What is 36 about? Well, thank you for asking. It's a written story of mine that I need to work on more. It's kind of my excuse to have a more darker story. But it is about a guy, the main character, who's in this facility. It's a very original concept, I know, but he's in a facility with about 39 other people, him being the 40th, and all of them have something about them except himself, like just something about them, and people start dying out of nowhere, and everyone freaks out, and it's the whole idea of they have to escape, and there's a main science is an evil guy, and it's just very psychological story, I guess, is the best way to put it. I need to work on it more, though. Since reality gods transferred their powers to the nearest god when they died, did Solar get all the extra powers, or did Infinity and Eternity get them? He got all of the extra powers because he was the one to kill them, therefore he was closest to them. Which I'm sure some of them, it might have been like they transferred over to another reality god, but then he would just kill them. So, it's... so he got all the powers. Infinity and Eternity didn't get any of them. Do you have to pay for collabs? I mean, no, I guess, unless you sketch something that you want me to finish, so you pay me to do that like a commission, or I guess if you want me to sketch something and then you want to finish it, which in case if you buy it, then that's okay, Are there any stories that inspire you in writing your own? If so, what are a few of them? I mean, a lot of story. Honestly, any story I see kind of inspires me to make my own version of it, but I have to hold off. So, Favorite artist. I have a few favorite artists. One of my idols is a Kiwi Bird on YouTube. River Spirit has always been an inspiration. Sakami-chan is a really good artist. Raw Straws is really pretty art. Yeah. Got a few. Give 1 sentence description of 4 of your stories. I mean, that's how a lot of them are. Luniverse is a bunch of idiots in a house have to save the world. 7 Cents a Baby is a bunch of jackasses adopt a baby they find in the woods. Colorful is a bunch of misfits have to take down an overlord. Naturia is like a trio goes on an adventure to save the forest. I don't know why that made me laugh. There's just 3 girls go off to save the forest. Why is that funny to me? Thinking of antagonists, any advice for making an antag for a story based around a vampire's life? Well, I mean, I don't know. That depends on what story you're going for. Like, what kind of character you need to be an antagonist? I'm not really sure. Could be anything, really. This is a little more of a request than a question. I've been watching your Tuesday videos, and I want to make a character for your AU. Is that allowed? I mean, it's okay. There's not really much you could probably do with it, since I don't really do anything with it myself. But yeah, you can. That's fine. I know someone very irrelevant and not important to talk about, so I have draws. Okay. It's cool. There's definitely a pattern of idiots saving things. You would be correct. Like I said, my stories have very distinct patterns to them. I don't know why. I always love the idea of little squads going around doing things. That's just my jam, I guess. That's probably why I like Homestuck. That's probably why I like Steven Universe. It's probably why I like all sorts of different things like that. Probably why I like Marvel and Avengers and all that stuff. It's probably why I love Guardians of the Galaxy. Such good descriptions. Truly riveting concepts, to be honest. Thank you. I try my hardest coming up with my very original story concepts. Tap, 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 two. Would gluttony eat the fruitcakes, the fake fruits that people frequently bite into? Yes, definitely. Luna's ideal vacation, anywhere but home. Have you ever come up with a concept that you consider bad, and if so, what was it? Ooh. I don't know. Well, see, because I'm the kind of person that, like, I love even taking bad ideas and trying to make them work, but I don't know if I've... I mean, technically, all of my ideas are terrible, but in basic concept, but I don't know. Low-key off topic, who's your favorite from Guardians of the Galaxy? Drax, my guy. I love Drax. Is there a chance of Tuesday to return in the future now that you have your tablet working, or is that show dead? I don't know, guys. I'm probably. I don't know. I'm just on to other things right now. Do you have any advice for writing a balanced but powerful antagonists? I mean, that... I know I have to say this all the time, but, like, that depends on what you're going for and the context of everything and all that kind of stuff. Question, anything you like from DC? I actually relatively enjoy DC. Probably more than some people. I do think they make better shows than they do movies, a lot of the time, but, you know. Like, I didn't really... Like, I actually enjoyed Justice League and that kind of thing. I don't know. What character from Seven Sins of Baby would feel most at home in the Universe household? I mean, none of them would, but, I mean, Lust would be chill with it, because that's just his personality. Sloth, maybe. Gluttony, probably be excited. Have you ever seen of Oish's artwork? It's really amazing. You should check her out. Alright. Which sin is most likely to steal zoo animals to keep them as pets? Greed, probably. Just wants to steal things. Making a story about this magic mansion and people there doing all sorts of wonkers. I can't make up an origin because I'm uncreative. What do I do? Play around with ideas. It's really all that you do and when you do things and stories. Which sin would you spend the day out with? I don't know. Probably Lust, just because he'd be the most, like... You know, he'd probably be the best to have a conversation with. Why is Greed so greedy? Because he likes to steal things. And I can't get back. I can't get into his backstory. What music do the Sins listen to, if any at all? I don't know. Again, when it comes to things like that, I have no idea. Just not stuff I think about very often. Which DC character is your favorite as the most interesting, such intriguing? I'm not gonna lie, I love Batman. Like, it's probably like super unoriginal, but I like Batman. I like him. I should have explained more. I have an antagonist that is near infinite power source. I don't want to be too OP, and I'm struggling with balancing him out. Well, I don't know your story, so that I couldn't really help. I would just suggest maybe going out and like asking, like putting it online, kind of like asking people like, hey, here's the story, here's the context, critique would be helpful, that kind of thing, you know? So, not relevant, but has Zodiac ever had a hater in a stream? I don't know. If I have, I haven't noticed. I've had arguments in a stream with certain people, but not really a hater, I guess. Out of all your characters, who would most likely to just disappear? I don't really know what you mean. Like, just disappear, like I forget about them, or I don't know. Are any of your OC's personalities based off IRL people? Not intentionally, but some of them are very similar to people I know in real life. Are any of your OC's... I just read that. Why do I do this all the time? Felicity's sexuality. She's bi. Which sin would most likely cheat in anything, then get caught? I mean, a lot of them would. Agreed would. I mean, that's just, yeah. I was on a 24-hour trip to Houston, Texas. Your videos made that. Well, thank you. I'm glad I could help. Probably gonna end the stream soon, I think. When it's an hour 30, I think I'm gonna end it. Woo! Oop, I gotta stretch. Stretch. What's lust gender? Yes. Lust gender is anyone who's down to do it. That's, yeah. Or no, wait. What? Okay, I'm tired. I thought that said, why did I think sexuality? His gender is he's a dude. But he's a guy. Yeah. Why did I think yeah. His sexuality is just anything goes. But, like, if anyone's down to do it. But, like, his gender's male. Oh, dang, this is still going on. Hi, PK. See, that's when you know I'm tired, is when I read gender and I think of sexuality. That's when I'm tired. Which I shouldn't be tired, but, you know. Any shows or books that inspire you to make art, so as to make stories? Pretty much anything. So still a yes, then? I mean, I guess. The thing about, lust, gender, whatever, is that he's literally like, he doesn't care what you call him, but he's a guy. That's just how he identifies. But he wouldn't ever correct anybody because he thinks it's funny. So, do you have any villain characters that are actually easy to sympathize with, at least in your eyes? I mean, yeah, I think so. I have a lot of villain characters that I've had to come up with redemption arcs for because I can't let them just be, I can't leave them as just antagonists because I get too attached to them. But yeah, I have plenty of those. Because I generally refuse to make any characters that that are just evil, you know. What if Lust met someone lustier than him? I mean, that'd be a challenge. I guess the strategy for making a villain that's only a villain is make their motivation very assholey and not able to be sympathized with. It's hard, but it works. But favorite antagonist from any of your stories? Oh God, that's a hard one. See, because I like Solar a lot. I like Valentina a lot, just from a concept standpoint. I like my antagonist. I had this one antagonist in a colorful named Goldie, who I love him a lot. He's just fun. From an actual antagonist standpoint, I have an antagonist in Seven Sins and a Baby I really love a lot named Sebastian. He's just a jerk. Like, there's nothing redeemable about him except that he's kind of hot. That's it. Like, other than that, he's just a jerk. And yeah, so there's that. In the context of Seven Sins and a Baby, how long have the sins as our incarnation system or a concept existed? A very long time. Yeah, a very long time. Which do you prefer, unrepentant villains or villains with a tragic backstory? Depends on the context. I don't like whiny villains that feel like they just have a tragic backstory just to have one, to try and like force sympathy. I like it when villains have a tragic backstory when it actually like is really there to motivate what they do, but it also doesn't necessarily justify them. And I also like villains that can't be repented, though, especially like as a final boss. I don't know why. It's just my thing. What's the worst character you've made? I don't know. That's, again, I can't choose that. What's your favorite SU fusion? Mine's Smoky Opal. I don't know. I mean, gives Garnet a choice, I guess. The question, who is the most happy-go-lucky character that you have? Out of all of my characters, I have no idea. It's the weirdest character I've made? Ooh, that's a good one. It's the weirdest character. I mean, I guess depends what we mean by weird. Because, like, if we're talking about just weird in personality versus weird in, like, just in concept, you know? But I'm not sure. It's a good question. The ultimate villain, Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Question, what kind of stupid thing can lead to the large-scale argument among the sins? Anything. Anything can get them arguing. And I've even tested and tried this in roleplay, because, I mean, I think it's obvious at this point, like, Twisted Disaster and I have our roleplay thing going on. And surprisingly enough, my sins don't make an appearance very often in those roleplays. Like, to be honest, it's really weird. Both of our, like, main characters don't show up very often in our roleplay. It's a lot of our more secondary main characters, I guess. But and I think part of the reason why my sins aren't very like main in there is because they are far more focused on harassing each other than they are with anything else going on. So they will argue over anything. It's yeah. What personality fits the baby the most? I'm assuming you mean the baby in Seven Sins and a Baby. Definitely, she has a personality. Has a grown-up version of her, technically. She becomes very sassy. She's also really chill, too. What is the weirdest concept you've ever had for a character? Jeez. I mean, Infinity is literally like infinity. She's a pretty weird concept, to be honest. I feel like I have one. I can't think of it, though. But there's something out there I know is like a weird concept I've had, but I can't think of it right now. If Glut ate ice, would Wrath legally have to consider her cool? PK, I'm gonna fight you, I swear. How long does it take you to do one page of Seven Sins of a Baby? Depends how my motivation is. It can take anywhere from a couple of days to a month. Like, oh dear. Then again, I do them in sets, so I'll get like quite a few pages done in a certain amount of time. Vanessa's music taste? I'm not really sure. Vanessa doesn't ever really strike me as a character to really listen to music very often, you know, unless it's just there. So I can't really think of anything that would be her favorite, hands down. So, in your opinion, how do you get people to relate and care about your characters? What do you think makes characters worth caring about? The best strategy I have found for getting people attached to your characters without making them cute. People are very easily attached to cute characters, but the best strategy for getting people attached to your characters quickly is humor. Making a character funny is like the best way to get people to like feel for them and get attached to them and that kind of thing. Like, oh God, what's a good example? It's why like, it's that and cuteness. It's why like a lot of characters that like will end up being the one to die in stories is the funny character or the really cute, sweet, sympathetic character, you know? Because they're the easiest to get attached to. So I would say sometimes the best strategy is just, for one thing, make them believable, but also just kind of make them funny. It's really easy to get attached to a character when they're funny. And even if they're not like cracking jokes or whatever, but just if like them, like their characters surrounded by funny, if you know what I mean. The little Bab doesn't have a favorite parent, does she? No, she doesn't. Angel loves all her parents. What's your opinion on hybrid characters? Some can be OP, so I don't necessarily like the idea. I think it's fine. It just depends how you do it. I mean, hybrid's a very broad, like, you know, idea. It just depends on how you work it. I mean, I do know what you mean, though. There's plenty of stories that have had, like, hybrid characters, and it's just kind of really dumb. Like, you know, or it's like, it feels like they're a hybrid, but they have advantages of both sides and, like, none of the flaws or whatever. But, like, I mean, Steven Universe does hybrid pretty well with, like, Steven being half human, half gem, and yet he's not really a full gem, which is an issue, you know? But yeah, it just depends on how someone writes it. Biggest chest in the Luna house? That's probably Felicity, to be honest. Not to be that guy, but ETA on the new chapter for Seven Sins of a Baby sometime eventually. Hopefully. See, it'll be nice when it's there because it will be weekly, and I'll hopefully get, if I'm good, I'll start working on the next chapter while it's being posted, so there won't be such a long hiatus. When coming up with a universe for the story, what is the first thing to start with? That depends. Again, that just depends on what you're going for. There's a million ways to go about that. How do you kill off your characters? You stab them with a knife, and then they're dead. No, but, I don't know, Depends on what story you're going for, how you want them, like, why you want them to die and whatever. I will say, don't needlessly kill off characters, like, just willy-nilly, and then, like, also just then, like, bring them all back to life, because that can be kind of stupid. It just, think about it, you know, there's a lot. I don't know. If you had to choose one character from the universe to live with forever, who would it be and why? I don't know. Infinity's a god, so probably her. Although she might be frustrating sometimes with her memory, but you know. Darkest character and darkest moment in any comic you've made. Well, I haven't made many comics. Seven Sins of Baby's the only one, but there's some dark moments that happen. Okay, you know, okay. Off the top of my head, God, I hate that I have to keep doing this because I can't go into detail about it, but like out of all of the stories, what I can think of, like off the top of my head, is either stuff from like Vanessa's backstory gets kind of dark, but like there's a specific scene in Greed's backstory that's really dark and sad, so but I can't go into it, so ha 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 ha, so whoops. Which two sins fight the most or drag others into fights more? Because I think pride and lust, but I'm probably wrong. Pride and lust fight a lot, but they usually don't drag other people in. Wrath will fight with anyone. Probably wrath and greed fight a lot. Wrath and pride fight a lot. And they probably are the ones who drag more people into their fights. Who would be the worst at taking care of the baby in the Luniverse crew? Of a baby Luniverse crew of the sins. What? I don't know if I'm just dumb, but I don't understand that question. Favorite musical artist? I don't know. I'm not really... I just kind of like music. I don't really follow a lot of artists specifically, so... You boil the hell out of it. Oh no, I'm yawning again. There I go. If Angel was given to the universe, who would be the worst at taking care of her? Sphinx probably, or Chrome and Virus probably. Favorite music? I'm not answering that because I don't. Favorite musical, if any? I don't know. I just like musicals. I'm not into a musical fandom. I got a character who's obsessed with one character. How do I make that a flaw for her? Well, I mean, make it just where it's like, I don't know. I don't know your story, so I can't really give specific advice. But the best thing I can think of is just, if you want to make it a flaw, one of the easiest ways is just make it where they make like a stupid decision because of that character that they shouldn't have made, you know, because they're so obsessed. That's not something difficult to make a flaw, honestly. Will the Bab get into a bad situation because Sloth specifically isn't paying attention to them? Probably. I'm not gonna lie, a big theme of Seven Sins of the Baby is that the baby gets kidnapped a lot. Like, just a lot. So... Which character from your story is the most bean? I don't know. Probably the baby in Seven Sins of a Baby, I guess. I'm not sure. Seems like a good place to end it, I think. Yeah, alright. Well, thank you guys for coming. I'm glad you guys could come. I had fun. I might stream again later date. It might just be like a chill stream, probably. And if I do, I'll see you then. If not, then well, I lied. So, yeah, see you guys later. Thanks for coming. Woo. Bye.